All right, we're gonna get started with our Q&A. So I'm gonna start us off and then I'll open it up to the floor. Once everyone's ready. Give them a sec. Okay. So my first question is, you talked a bit about how you drew inspiration from the neighborhood to kind of create this album. I was wondering what inspired you to make an album in the first place? What sparked this decision to go for such a big project?
Oh, okay. As opposed to just like shorter project. Okay. I think I felt like originally it was 10 songs and then it became 11 songs. It grew a little bit. I think the idea was much like last year, my first EP. I did this event in January. It's called Jamuary, and they basically every day of the month in January you post a jam of some kind. Doesn't matter what it is. And I wanted to do that again and see what came out of it. And I wanted to explore, I guess, more melodic things. As you heard, most of the things are melodic. But still, electronic, still modular, and still some things in there, but a little more accessible things. So I wanted to put something out that was sort of meatier, that has. I always like albums. I like the flow of the songs from one to the next. It tells a story from beginning to end. I like side A and side B, even though that doesn't exist anymore. But so that's probably why I wanted to do a whole album.
Cool. Yeah. So I guess the next thing that I wanted to know about was walk us through kind of the process from coming up with the ideas and the concepts to then like making, producing, getting all the way through to the finished project.
Yeah, like it's a mixture of things. Like I think some of the songs I pretty much approach it with a blank slate. Like I just start in January and just make stuff, and then from that I go, oh, this was pretty good. This is pretty good. This was pretty good. Like later on, and then it's funny because instrumental music, you don't always set out writing it with the title in mind. At least I don't. I wrote the music and then I assigned the titles that seemed to fit best, drawing inspiration from the places near us. And this song's kind of, it's got this song's kind of got a groove. It's pretty, whatever. This could be called The Pocket, right? So because it's in the pocket. Or, this song is neat, but if I drew inspiration, if I want to call it space, what do I have to do to make this space? Like it's a 7/8 jazz blues, right? So, but what can I do to like put space into that and sort of like, massage it into something else? So you started with the musical idea, the names or the places sort of inspired additional creation. Most of the songs, I put them into Ableton. I just started learning Ableton in January this year, so this is really like a learn by trial by fire.
What is Ableton for those that don't know?
Ableton is a DAW, a sequencer / audio recording program. But its thing is it does a lot of things based around loops. So looping samples or looping sections of MIDI sequences. And then it lets you play those things as I did today live. And out of that came, I have all these elements. Out of that comes the form of the song, right? And then I guess I set this date before my album was done because I knew that I wanted to give myself a deadline to say, this album needs to be finished. And so I did that, and I finished it. So, but the last 2 or 3 weeks was kind of a crunch, but a lot of mixing, a lot of mastering.
Yeah, go ahead.
How many albums didn't make the cut? Like songs.
Oh, how many tracks didn't make the cut? I mean, well, January has 30 days. So maybe a third.
It has
right?
31 days.
31?
Yeah.
Okay. So around, like maybe half. Some of them are just ideas, right? They just aren't. or they don't fit the theme, right? They don't fit the mood. Like this album is mostly energetic dance, whatever. If I did some ambient pieces or some very chill piano, whatever, that's not going to make this album either. Not that they're not great or good, but they just don't fit. So it's assembling an album, assembling a theme, and then working with that.
Yeah. What was making the videos for the 15-minute city videos? Like a video synthesis?
Yes. So that is a it's called Imaginando Visual Synth, and it's a VST plugin that goes into Ableton or any DAW, and I like it because it works like a synthesizer. So they've named it with synthesizer terms that you'd be familiar with. Like there's an LFO, there's a modulation, there's 8 different tracks. And so each track can respond to MIDI or to audio. You can have a trigger, like an envelope follower, right? So trigger, I'm talking to the technical people now that know what I'm saying. But basically, so you can have it respond to MIDI or live playing. You probably noticed like when the kick drum came in, that little yellow circle would come, right? So that's cued, that's tied right to the MIDI note that triggers that sound, and then that also triggers that at the same time. So then I did that in Ableton, recorded that video output, and then I edited it with the sort of locales and in time things with me walking down the street in shadow or whatever. So it'd be a little more interesting. But, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, continuing on to that, is there like layering and masking in that software?
There is.
How
Yeah.
advanced is it?
I think there's an alpha channel, or I'm not 100% on how it works, because you just turn it and then it's supposed to blend with things, other layers. I don't know. I just used 4 layers and just left it. Literally, I spent an hour just whipping it up so that I could have something to show.
Yeah, Michael, back.
So first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Could you talk a little bit about the songwriting process and did anything in that process change from song to song? Like in the 30 days, or 31 days of January, when you were writing, were there things that I had learned or that changed or that stood out to you as different from, say, day 1 to say day 27?
Yeah, I will say so. So most of the songs came from January. Some of them I wrote just for the album. So, but I guess my method is probably the same. Like the songs that come from January are all like just come up with a rhythmic idea, play some melodic thing or jam over it, and loosely, whatever it is, I don't care. And then I come back later to it. I either edit the jam if it was good, or I'll massage it or whatever, or I'll just re-record it. Like if the lead solo part was trash, that's fine. I'll just do it again. It's okay. What I did learn though, I think I was a lot more careful with putting song structure together so that the songs are not as meandering. They're more like this is not like verse, chorus, whatever, but they have a flow or they have a structure that holds them together. And I found that using Ableton to bring those sort of just loose jam ideas, basically like one loop is just, endless repeating. But using Ableton to perform those loops live for whatever, to form the structure, and then going into the other view to actually massage it and edit it further down, that was new to me. And that really is something that I developed over doing this album. So, yeah.
Yeah, Mark, right here.
How much did prior works or future works influence, did you do a song and it was done for the album? Or is it like, as you create other songs, did you have to go back to kind of rework things to fit in the flow of the album? Or?
Oh, yeah, good question. I think they did inform each other. A lot of the songs kind of coalesced in the last month. So I said, like I have the loose structure of it, and I have the form of the ideas in there, but the final form or structure isn't there, and then it isn't mixed, right? So a lot of that, I guess, doing them all at the same time. Like, I mean, 11 songs is kind of a lot to do all at once. So, you just go one by one, but you do one and you learn something. Oh, this sounds good when I do this way, or this mix. I learned this technique to deal with this snare drum, this sound, and I should do this for the other one too. So I have to go back, and so everything's sort of like a active in process until the very end. Yeah.
Eric in the back, and then I'll go here. Yeah.
The song where you sampled the Turkish oven empire thing, I found that oddly specific. I was wondering, is there any way you go about approaching that, or do you just listen to the music and you stumbled upon that, or you were watching it?
No, it was driven by the title. It was driven by so I came up with the concept, the album concept, drawing from places near me. And then that was one of the places. And then I was like, it's a cool sounding name, Galata, but what is it? I don't know anything about this. So I researched and I found out, it's a city in Turkey. And then, Turkish, maybe what if I do some folk samples or something? And then that led me down this rabbit hole of looking at the Turkish website for folk music and illegally sampling things and taking whatever, I don't know, little snippets and reversing them, or just using them out of context and looping them, and hopefully I don't get sued. And yeah, then that informed that song. Yeah.
I think
But
question.
I will say that song's rhythm part came from the drum machine first. So I had that drum pattern, and then I glommed those other things onto it and saw how that might work together.
Over here. Yeah.
Yeah, congrats again, Eugene. My question is in terms of your inspiration to move into this style of music. So, as opposed to maybe some of the more traditional styles or instrumentation equipments, how did you kind of move into this whole
Right. Yeah, it's been a journey. I think I always liked dance music. I always liked electronic music. But in my work or in my own personal music, I never really had opportunity much to do. And then a couple years ago, I said, I want to learn about synthesizers. And that led me down a whole rabbit hole of learning about synthesis and learning about modular synths. And, and then I stayed in that modular synthesis world, or where it's very rigorous, you create all the sounds from scratch or from sine waves or from this and that, and just learned as much as I could in that. And I feel like it's almost like cheating when you use a synthesizer that's already got a sound, or you use loops and stuff. It feels too easy, but but I think bringing those together, bringing in those modular synthesis sounds into more, I guess, melodic music. And I've been really getting into just listening to artists like Floating Points or Clark or people like that. That just they go into the IDM space, or intelligent dance music. Nobody likes that term, but that's the term that you use. So IDM, if you're looking into that sort of dance music, but it has a little more stuff to it. Yeah.
Did your family have any specific input on this, other than just general support, of course?
I heard it for the first time this morning. So
You heard it for the first time. Okay.
I don't know if anyone else wants to
I
comment.
previewed it for Natasha a little bit, at least the songs I was going to play today. And Nancy's heard a few of the songs. I would say I didn't play it for them, or other than after it was finished, mostly. But I did have in mind, I wanted to make because a lot of the previous music I've done, electronic music, synthesizer, it's more experimental, and I did want to move into things that are a little more melodic for this one, accessible to general audience, that kind of thing. So I did kind of have them in mind, like things that aren't super complex or super noisy that, you know, will trigger your, you know, sometimes. Not too challenging to listen to, yeah, exactly.
It's funny, those two questions. I actually did have the tiniest bit of creative input on the cover. I saw several versions of what part of the image he was going to crop and whether he was going to put text on it or not. So
that's right.
I did see that far in advance, yeah.
There were a lot of votes for not too much noise.
Not too much noise, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Not
Mark.
too noisy.
Oh, sorry, you had a third question. I'll go back after, yeah.
Just quickly. You said that the inspiration was your neighborhood and that there was actually a path, an arc to the thing. Can you kind of describe it? Because as we listen to the album, it'd be nice to kind of...
Sure. I mean, the arc is in the song choices or the music. The places are just scattered all over around. If you look all those places up, you'll kind of know my neighborhood, basically. But it's on this little stretch of Danforth between Donlands and Jones, basically. It's just this tiny little place, all within walking distance of my house. And then I think the pocket is further away, and it describes this little like park area or something, right?
It technically refers to
The pocket,
a couple of streets.
couple of streets.
The only way to exit
From Jones, yeah, or wherever it is, Greenwood or somewhere down there, a little pocket. But I stole it for groove.
Mark, go ahead.
Okay, so you said using a synth feels like cheating. So are you saying that you created a lot of the sounds yourself? And were you doing that like live playing with it, or like more hardcore building the envelopes of the sounds, or how did that?
Yeah, so there's a mixture. So some of the tracks will have like modular synth sounds. So all of those are, you know, I have to make those myself from scratch. There are some patches that I use from certain synth plugins, which I tweak and change and modify to just suit whatever. I don't really tend to use anything just stock, you know, out of the thing. But you know, if the sound is there and it fits and it inspires me, and then hopefully it inspires the listener too. So I don't have any. I'm not too worried about that. But yeah.
And then like, did creating those sounds help you for like a live part about being able to manipulate the sounds live?
Not really. Yeah, no. That's practice, performance, and I don't know. Yeah, I'm still working on that part too. Performing these things live is like a whole different thing. Yeah.
Well, work today.
You work today. Just a few more questions.
Shirley, I
maybe?
think, had a question as well. Yeah.
Okay, we should-
Eugene, finish it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I think that was a brilliant idea to give yourself a little pressure to technician or artist, which percentage? Thinking, feeling, what percentage?
I think it's hard to say. When I'm playing music, the technician side happens earlier, and it usually draws me out of creating. So that all that like technical side of things or setup side of things has to be done, and then the creative side is just free to not be worried about those things and just to create. So in that sense, like the artist part is, it's more important, obviously, in making the music, the artist part. So I would lean more to hopefully to the artist side. And then the second one was thinking, feeling.
Because you
Ooh.
talk about concepts.
Yeah.
And really embody and conceptualize.
Yeah.
But
Well,
when
I'm
it
INF.
evokes a lot of feeling.
Yeah. I'm INFJ, if you know Myers-Briggs, so feeling. So I'll be feeling, yeah. Just a couple more, maybe?
Yeah,
and then-
any other questions from the audience?
Yeah.
Yeah, Anna.
So, what genre of music would you consider your
would say IDM and maybe jazz fusion, maybe. You know, there's some songs that are not IDM. They're just like, it's like a groove, you know. So, yeah, jazz fusion, IDM, something like that. You know.
So many.
So many
Right here. Yeah.
Thank you for all your questions, by the way. This is awesome.
I was just going to ask where you find your inspiration for samples and like sound sources like that. I noticed that, was it a sample at the beginning of one song of the Space Blues?
No, that's me singing.
Oh, that's you singing.
Yeah. I made up that little ditty to put at the beginning of the song, of this other track. So either, I wrote things, but like it's either driven by the theme, so like a lot of Turkish music, I found that, or just something found sound that I happened, like the 15-minute city at the beginning of that there's some sounds, right? And then it turns into a loop. That is actually the Dawnlands subway station escalator. One of the escalators, as I was going off the platform, I walked by and I was like, that's a cool sound. Grabbed my phone, just recorded it, and like, who knows, maybe this will come in handy later. And then I took it back, listened to it, and hey, there's this little cool loop here, and just built a song around that. So, yeah.
Okay, I saw 2 other hands, and I think that'll be all. Yeah, at the back.
So now that the album's done, and there's no changes on what we made there, and I'm saying this because I'm sure you've listened to everything a lot in the process of making it finalizing. So now that it's done, like, what listening context are you looking forward to as a listener? Like, do you want to just put it on in the car, or do you want to listen to it at home? Like, where are you looking forward to listening to it as someone who just enjoy it as a listener?
I think I will say I made a cassette copy of it, and I listened to it on the stereo in my bedroom, making the cassette copy, and I was like, this sounds like an album. I like it. I'm happy. So like really, I guess like listening at home or just around the house or whatever it is. Yeah, I think there's some songs on there that are definitely like summer vibes, you know. So listen to it while you can. Well, it's still summer, I guess. But yeah, thanks.
Was there one more? I thought I saw a hand. Go ahead. Yeah.
I'm constantly impressed by your rhythmic sensibility. Very, very sophisticated. Did you study percussion?
I did.
Cheater.
In high school, we had a pretty good music program at our school, and they also let students change instruments a lot, or maybe they just let me do it, I don't know. But I started on French horn in grade 8, and then I switched to flute, and then I switched to percussion for the last 2 years of high school. So I play percussion in stage band and concert band and whatever, and so yeah, so all that stuff, yeah. And then I've been playing drums since, so yeah.
All right, I've this last question.
Okay.
Do you have a favorite track on the album?
That's a good question. It's like choosing a child.
That was my next question.
Wow. Okay. I really like the track called Barcelona. And before you ask, yes, there's a store called Barcelona on Danforth, and they sell things from Spain, and the owners are cool. They're really nice. So Barcelona, I think that would be my thing. That's inspired by. It's a very jazzy piece. It's inspired by the Chick Corea piece, Spain. I kind of went for kind of that feel for it. I think it's the nicest chord progression that I've written ever, so I'm pretty happy with that. So Barcelona, yeah, that'd be my favorite.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to take another break, and we're drawing the raffle at
2:45.
4:45. If you do have more questions, you can just come talk to my dad.
Yeah.
And yeah, stay tuned for the
merch
raffle.
table over there. And
Congratulations, Eugene.
thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.